Hello everyone. So I'm continuing my Rolling Stones reviews with their 18th studio album, Tattoo You. So this was released in August 1981. And this album is actually, it's made up of outtakes from different sessions. Because the Stones were going on tour. And they needed an album to support, but they didn't have an album out, and they didn't have any newly recorded material, so they just recycled some old outtakes and threw them all together. So there's stuff on here from the Emotional Rescue sessions, the Some Girls sessions, even from the Goat's Head Soup sessions. So in a way, this album shouldn't work, but it does. I actually think it actually flows really nicely. And it's got a good I like the cover as well. That's Mick Jagger on the front, and then that's Keith on the back. Yeah, it's nice artwork, and most Stones fans consider this to be their last, truly great album. I don't know if I agree with that, because they still did some. I still liked all the ones that came after this, but I do agree that all the ones that they never did another one that was quite as good as this. But yeah, so we're gonna go through the tracks. So it starts off with "Start Me Up," which is a classic Stones song. It's not one of my favourites, but it's still fantastic. I still love it. "Hang Fire," I absolutely love. You know, there's a lot of rockers on here, considering it's an '80s Stones album, and most of the '80s Stones albums have a lot of disco numbers on them, but there's actually quite a lot of rockers on here. So "Hang Fire," great track. "Slave," I really love. "Little TNA" is a Keith Richards vocal. The lyrics are pretty silly, but I love this song. If you don't know what "Little TNA" means, TNA basically it means tits and ass, basically. "Black Limousine," I love. I think that's a great bluesy track. Some great harmonica. "Neighbours," I love "Neighbours." "Worried About You" is a nice ballad. Good use of the electric piano. It's a bit like "Fall to Cry" from Black and Blue in a way. I wouldn't say it's quite as good as "Fall to Cry," but still lovely. "Tops" is pretty good. And "Heaven," I love "Heaven." Heaven's quite psychedelic, I would say. There's a lot of mixings in his falsetto, and there's a lot of phasing on the guitar and vocals. So yeah, it's very hypnotic, this track, but yeah, I've always loved it. I've always thought it was lovely. We get "No Use in Crying," not one of my favourites, but I like it though. And it ends with "Waiting on a Friend," which I love this track. And the lyrics in this song actually were basically about Mick and Keith's friendship. And, I do love the music video to this as well. And it's just a great way to close this album. So yeah, "Tattoo You" is a great album. It's probably the Stones' last album that I would say it's probably their last near perfect album. And it is their best album from the '80s. I don't know if it's one of my favourite Stones albums in general. Would this make my top 10? I don't actually quite know. We'll find out when I re-rank the albums, which I do plan to do once the new album comes out. I'm going to rank all of these and include the new one as well. So we'll see where it goes on the ranking, but it's definitely my favourite Stones 80s Stones album, and I'll give it a 9 out of 10. So Hope you enjoyed this review, and my next review will be on Undercover. So I'll see you then.